Up next, we got Deep Red or Profondo Rosso. This right here, look at this beautiful release by Arrow. These are the kinds of things that you want to get a region-free player for, man. These are just wonderful. You have to have this stuff in your collection. Now, after Four Flies, I really needed this one because although I did not hate Four Flies by any means, I wasn't huge on it and I felt myself bored. And, this is Argento's first masterpiece, in my opinion. This film is fantastic. Holy shit, was this good. Now, this is the full cut of it, and I actually watched it in English, and the added scenes are in Italian. And so I got to kind of see what's added and what isn't. I also was watching it with the subtitles on because when they would go to the Italian, it wouldn't put up subtitles, so I had to keep them on throughout the whole thing. So when it was in English, I was still watching it in subtitles, and the subtitles are, pretty different than what you're hearing in English. So it was interesting to like look down and back and forth and be like, that's what they're saying in English, but this is what they're saying here. Nothing crazy that was like changing the movie or anything, but it was just like, that's the different interpretation here. Okay, interesting. But yeah, all the like Italian scenes, which make up the added scenes that were put back into the movie, it's a lot. I mean, it had to be at least 20 minutes. I mean, there was a lot of time in the movie where it kept switching to Italian. I was like, wow, this was cut? Oh, wow, this was cut? There was a good amount of things that I was like, that was pretty important, and that was pretty important. So, with a lot of director's cuts or restored cuts or whatever, there's a lot of stuff that's cut out for a reason. You watch it and you're like, yeah, this was boring. Yeah, this is kind of lame. This is whatever. But I felt like a lot of these scenes did need to be in there. This is almost like a Lord of the Rings type of thing where it's like the extended footage really does matter and it really does make the film just better as a whole. I think that the thing that makes this movie a masterpiece, first and foremost for me, is Goblin's score, especially this theme song in the opening. Nothing against Ennio Morricone, because I really enjoy his music in the 3 previous films. But this is the movie where he switched over to Goblin, and I think it was the right move to make because their score in this is incredible. Holy shit. That opening rivals any theme for any movie I've ever seen. Halloween, whatever included. And that is a big deal. Like Halloween and other films like it. Those scores mean a lot to me. So for me to say that, that's incredible. But yeah, I would put it to the Pepsi challenge with any damn one of them. A little Pulp Fiction reference there for you. And the theme song actually kind of reminded me a little bit of the one from Creepshow. I'd have to listen to them simultaneously to see if I'm just completely out of my mind on that, but I feel like I'm hearing some similarities. But I haven't seen Creepshow in a while, so I might go back and rewatch it and be like, oh, what the fuck you talking about? This ain't nothing like Creepshow. But that's what I felt. I also love that we get this really awesome, like, horror music from Goblin playing in the theme, and then it, like, cuts to basically like Smurf music where it's like la 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 la, they always like almost Smurf music, and like we show murder and then we just cut back to like credits, opening credits, and it goes like to the scary horror music. So it's kind of the reverse there where you got the horror music playing over just credits, and then the horror is actually going on and we're getting fucking Papa Smurf singing us to town. I don't think that's who sings the Smurf opening song. So, and then we move to this psychic chick who can I like that her character is a psychic that can only feel people's emotions and read their, what they're thinking and stuff like that in the moment, or something that has happened in their past. She has no, perception of the future at all, which you just don't ever see that in these kinds of movies. So I thought that was a different spin on it, and that she feels someone in the room like, holy shit, there's a murderer in here. Somebody had a horrible thing happen to them when they were a kid. So I like that spin on it. And then we get right to the action. I mean, then we go upstairs and she goes to her place and we get the kill, and her death is brutal, man. This movie has some gnarly kills, and that one is especially like she gets like pushed. I love that shot where she gets pushed through the plate glass window and her neck just bounces off this glass and right into her neck, and then she comes up and there's just shards hanging out of her neck. I mean, this movie's like, early 70s. This is some hardcore shit for back then. So I just adore it. And I love how, even though the blood isn't realistic, it just adds to the, visuals in the movie. There's like, Argento is so amazing, especially like from this point on, in his career, like up with Suspiria, Inferno, and those movies. He just is a master at using colors to enrich scenes, and the blood is just yet another tool in that palette that he's painting this picture with on the screen. So I just love the. It's rare that I actually like blood that looks like this, but for some reason, because of like the artistic nature, and that this really can sometimes be more style over substance. Although I feel like these kind of balanced each other out, and the story was as intriguing as the style, and that wasn't the truth in the previous one before this. But I don't usually prefer fake blood, but with movies like this, it actually enhances them, in my opinion. So I don't mind them here. And with her kill also, I mean, before she's even stuck through the plate glass window, the killer has a meat cleaver and is like hacking into her body. And then, he sees it upstairs, so he runs up and he tries to see. And I haven't seen this movie in a while, so maybe I do remember it. But I remember, this time, I'm guessing I just remember it, but I saw the chick in the mirror this time. And I was like, that's that chick. And then when we see the mom later, I was like, oh, that's the chick in the mirror. Because it had been a long time since I saw it. So I do feel it's like I did have that memory in there, but I was kind of looking for her. But I saw her, and it kind of reminds me of the scene in Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich, the first one, the good one, where we do get to see the killer's face or the villain or whatever face in the opening, right, when he breaks the vial and he closes the door. If you look like really close and you pause it, like in that, they actually show that guy's face for like half a millisecond, and it just like plants that seed in you, and you're like that character that's trying to regress to be like, what did I see? I saw that hallway and I feel like I did kind of see a face. It's a really cool tactic. Because when it's shown later, you're like, that's what I saw. Oh, shit, I thought maybe I did see that. So I like playing with that. I like the risk that is, because there are people in the theater who might just so happen to be looking in that direction in that moment, and that would get spoiled for them. And they'd be sitting there like, did you fucking see that? Wait, did you? And then when they meet that character later, like, I fucking saw that bitch in the room, and he keeps talking about this, in the hallway. There's something of importance. So it's cool. It's a really risky movie. It also reminds me a little bit, this isn't the same thing because it's not like the killer per se, but in the Insidious franchise, when they're like walking through the house, and they do it in a couple of them, where there's just like a boy standing in the corner. And I saw it the first time, but no one around me did. I was like, did you see that kid in the corner? And they're like, no. And then we went back and rewatched it later. And like, oh shit, he was in the corner. That's so cool. I like just little subtle things that are thrown in there for multiple viewing kinds of things, or for reveals at the end. Like, we showed it to you, you just weren't paying attention as good as you thought you were. His friend, I mean, we should have known that this guy was a fucking nutcase by the fact that not only is he trying to drink himself to death, but we find out later that he saw his father murdered in front of him by his mother. So by Jesus Christ, that would fuck anybody up on like Christmas too, right? And so anyway, they hear a scream, and he's like, what was that? And his drunk friend, Marcus's drunk friend is like, he's like, it's probably a girl getting raped. And he's like toast to a virgin being deflowered and raped. I was like, whoa, you're toasting to a virgin being raped right now? I mean, obviously this is a dark sense of humor, and if you're like me, I have a very dark sense of humor, and these are fucking jokes you make with just your small amount of friends. But I don't know, it's just like, damn, man, you just heard someone scream bloody murder, and you're gonna make a joke about a person being raped and not even going to investigate it? Wow. But I mean, I think we know he knows. He's like, yeah, it's my mom. She's killing some bitch right now because she felt what was going on. And there's another another thing that Argento does and a lot of great directors do is that they will just put in these like wide, long shots. Like they'll go to like a wide lens. There's that fountain scene. I think it's a fountain or a statue. It's like a statue. It's not a fountain, sorry. And you got Marcus and his drunk buddy. And they're like sitting on opposite sides and like pan back. And we get this huge, long, sweeping shot of like this. It's not sweeping. Threw that in. This long stationary shot of this huge statue. And they're just on either side of it. And it's so patient. And there's a lot of dialogue being exchanged between these two characters. And the scene's got to be like a full minute and a half long at least. And we're so far away from the characters, but it just creates such a great visual. And I don't know, I love shots like that. I love when I see them in movies. We don't get enough of those anymore. There's usually like just close-ups and close-ups and close-ups and close-ups. And then like, a half body and then back to close-ups. No, like I like those wide shots and so I love seeing those in here. So then he meets Gianna, who I really enjoy this girl. I really like the chemistry between them. There's some shit that is very questionable, but it's kind of just indicative of the times, but we'll get into that. But so he's seen at the scene, and she takes like this little snapshot picture of him, and it's just like this little corner of the black, like the screen, it just makes like a little box right there. I love that shot. That's such artistic flavor. Ugh, it's so great. But she like puts him on the front of the paper when the killer's, out there still. And he's like, oh, great. Like, now they know who to look for. And she just laughs it off. She's like, it's okay. I thought that was hilarious that she's just like, meh. Like, I just put a target on your head by a fucking murderer. Whatever. And her car in this movie reminds me so much of my car. My first car I ever had. I had a 1977 Datsun Z, and my driver's side door was broken on it. And so I had to get in through the passenger door. Then my passenger door broke, so I could only get into my car through my trunk unless I left my windows open because the outside handle broke, and if I wanted to roll my windows up to lock it, I couldn't get in unless I went through the trunk. And so like I would have to leave the windows down if I didn't want to have to deal with that shit, especially if I was like picking up a girl or something. But it was so embarrassing because I could not open my door, my driver door, ever. That door never opened. I could never get it open. The inside and the outside handle didn't work. They weren't even real. They were fake. And so it was just fucking making me laugh in here. And he's like, what do you mean don't lock it? They're in the car. It's just like, they have to climb out the top of the roof. I'm like, welcome to my fucking life. So that took me back to, when I was a kid and had my first car. Why she can't afford a better car than that as a news reporter, I have no idea. But she's a woman. She's being unjustly paid. And that's kind of something they play around with in this movie. There is a lot of misogyny and sexist shit going on in this movie. And it's all like just kind of laughed off. And it just shows you the time period in which this was made. I feel like even at this time, though, that it was a little more progressive. And Argento does try to be more edgy in his films, like including transgender people, cross-dressers and whatnot. I think that's just his attempt to be edgy at the times, but it doesn't matter. But just the blatant disregard for a woman's equality in these movies is just like, it's funny. It's funny to watch. It's like reading old Bond novels. I've read a couple of those, and James Bond is referring to women as silly bitches and they should stay in the kitchen and he shouldn't have to rescue them. And I'm just like, my God, I can't even imagine writing something like this today. But yeah, he's talking about like, you know, men are superior to women both physically and mentally, and she like tries to arm wrestle him and he's getting pissed off. And the fact that she can even put up a fight against this guy is hilarious to me, because this isn't a big woman, and he's sitting there and he's like, I'm Mr. Tough, and he's like arm wrestling and can barely like keep her from pinning him, and she like puts her elbow up and he's like, you're a cheater, and he gets all mad and his masculinity has been questioned. So I like that there's a little kind of shit going on there, but she takes it in stride, man. She takes the blows to her chin like nothing. I think she's just used to it, and I think we know that from her character. But there's also another part in the movie where they're in the car and she's talking about intelligence, and he's like, oh, men are far superior to women in intelligence. And she just like sloughs it off like, yeah, right, whatever. Yeah, sure. Like, not even like, yeah, sure, whatever. It was almost like a, yeah, you're right. And I was like, whoa, that's weird. I wonder if she was reading that part of the script and like, do I really have to say that? Because that ain't true. But yeah, there is some, wow. Never see this shit today. And her lust after this guy and his like, almost aversion to her and like is just like whatever with her. She is trying so desperately to fuck this guy, to be with this guy, and he's just so blasé about it. He's just like, whatever. She's like, when am I gonna see you again? He's like, never. And he like tries to leave, and she's like, oh, well, how about tonight? And he like turns around, and he's just like, I don't know. I don't think we should do this. And she's like, and then I love how she finally is like, don't you find me attractive? What the hell's going on? And like, I want you to fuck me, and then he finally agrees to it. And she's like, I just want you to know the only reason I'm going to fuck you right now is like, because I'm single. I'm like between boyfriends or something like that. I was just like, this dialogue is so bizarre. I love it. You don't see shit like this at all in movies anymore. And I also like that the killer like brings his own or her own. I don't know which killer is which at the times, but they bring their own soundtrack and they like play that music. I'm guessing that's the kid because that's his memory, but I'm not exactly sure. This is a film maybe I could watch a couple times and pick up like who was in the audience and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like he plays the music or she plays the music, and the guy that's in the other room is sitting there and is listening to it. I was like, what the hell? Another really great scene in this movie. I'm trying not to jump across too much, but I think that might be next. Oh, no, next kill. No, that's this chick. The next kill is very a la Halloween 2, Nurse Karen. This was absolutely lifted, and I know I'm late to the game on this. I have never connected the dots here. I'm sure when I watched it before, I was like, oh, that's Nurse Karen's death, but this is absolutely Carpenter just plucking this and popping it into his movie. The way he heats up the water, burns her face, and throws her back, and she's like laying on the ground. We get that shot of her. Carpenter's just straight up took this kill. And then she like goes and she like scratches it, or puts her, tries to write who did it on the wall, which was kind of cool. Reminds me of like Point of No Return, I think, or La Femme Nikita, one of those, where she comes in the bathroom and she like turns on the shit and it fogs up the room and her message is on the mirror. Then moving on. And then we see a guy who just like straight up hits his kid. And it's like, no biggie. And then it pans down and we see like a lizard or something with like a pin through the back of its neck through his thing, and it's all flopping around. Was that real? Is that real? Did they really just take a pin and put it through that fucking lizard's neck like that and let him like squirm around all in pain? I really hope not, man. I hate seeing shit like that. That's why I can't stand Cannibal Holocaust. Not because I can't stand any of the gore or whatever. But when they like rip that turtle apart, fuck that, okay? You don't kill animals on film for real. That is not cool. But anyway, then we move on to this guy who's waiting for the killer to come, and we get one of the coolest shots in the movie, and that is this like animatronic puppet fucking just running at him, and it reminds me a little, I mean, obviously I think this is the first thing a lot of people would think of is Billy, from Saw, the little puppet on the tricycle coming at him. That's just such a great looking scene. He like cuts the thing in half, and then comes up behind and he just grabs the guy or she. I don't know who's killing him in this moment. But with the amount of force, I mean, we're talking about men being so much more superior to women in strength. Maybe it's the man. He's more smart. He's more smart too. You can see how smart men are. Fucking idiots. He or she takes the head and just keeps smashing this guy's face into the corners of like everything. Like 4 times, I think, just smashes his teeth into different fucking, like, it's like the same thing, like maybe two times or something. He just keeps smashing his face and his teeth into these corners of things. It's like the California smile in American History X like 4 times in a row before, sticking a knife through the back of the guy's head. Jesus Christ, that guy got a brutal death. The fact that the guy doesn't, he's sitting there, and as I said, I always try to like disregard logic in these kinds of movies. Although, it's weird because these movies are pretty good about some details, and they always do bring in forensics, and they always do have some really cool detective works and reveals that are neat. So there are moments where you're just sitting there, you have to take it because it's an artistic liberty, but the guy's sitting there after killing that puppet animatronic thing, and he just keeps he's laughing at the thing, and it's like, somebody's in your house. Somebody sent that through the door. I don't know if he's in his house or not. Shit, now I can't remember. Wherever he is, it doesn't matter. Somebody sent that thing at him. So clearly, they're either coming through that door or they're coming somewhere else. It's a distraction of some sort. So you need to be even more on high alert than you were before that thing came through the door. Because now someone's in there for sure. So the fact that he's just sitting there and he's looking and staring at it and laughing, it just doesn't make any sense to me, but as I said, it doesn't really matter. And then when the guy's like, let's get out of town, let's get out of here, and she's like, really? I can go with you? Oh my God. Okay, we'll have a great vacation. It's just, she worships this guy, and she actually says, I love you, and runs off. I think that a man wrote this. For sure. And this is how women act. They're like, oh my God, you'll finally talk to me? Oh my God, it's so exciting. The cops, once they come in and they try to kill, the drunk guy, there's such bad shots. How they don't kill him, they smash through the window, and there's 3 cops holding guns on him right there, and he gets a shot off, which goes through the guy's jacket, but they can't shoot him. Then he's running around, and he tries to climb up the fence, and they're only 30 fucking yards away, and they have 2-3 guns trained on him, and they all shoot I think 4 or 5 shots get shot at him, and none of them hit him. And we kind of get a little bit of a redundancy here with this, where the killer is getting away, and he goes out on the road, and a truck kills them. That's 2 films in a row now, so that was kind of really? You didn't have something better here? You couldn't have let somebody else kill him or something else happen? It felt a little, as I said, repetitive, but it's all right. But we definitely save a lot of the best kills for the killers, which I really like about Argento. They really meet their demise well, which is, it's nice to see. It's rewarding for the audience, because you do want the killer to end up getting theirs in the end. And he gets drug with a meat hook basically through his dick, and he was just being pulled down the road, scraping up his back. Oh my God, this guy was having the worst death. And then it's hits his head on the curb as it's swinging him around, and then a car runs over his head. That guy got brutalized. And we find out that the woman, Gianna, lived, which is cool. And then we find out that obviously he wasn't the only one, and the mom was the real killer. So we kind of get a mom-son duo here, a little Scream 2-ish. And Argento seems to have a lot of 2 killers in his movies, so there's some Scream borrowing as well. And then she gets her head decapitated by the strongest necklace in existence. That shit was made of adamantium, okay? That shit was strong, or vibranium, or whatever. I'm seeing Avengers tomorrow, so that's what's on my mind right now. But yeah, so what a fucking great movie, and I love that's just how it ends. Like, just cuts her head off, and then it just goes to a pile of blood on the ground with a guy's reflection in it, and her necklace is just hanging from the elevator, and the music's cued, and then the credits roll. That's it. Great shit, man. No looming, and no like him going to the hospital and explaining to her like, I got her, and they kiss and they get together. None of that shit. Death, credits. All right, guys. I am done with this. And next up, we've got the Tenebrae. Holy shit. Wow, exciting. His next few here. Oh, Jesus Christ. You know, with Inferno and Suspiria, Phenomena. Oh my God. It's going to be so exciting. This is exciting. So many great movies to talk about here. So anyway, guys. All right. Till the next one.